Our next session will feature Hayley Blundy of Futurlab, offering up practical tips on mental health and wellbeing support.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here. Thank you for having me. The session before was really great because it talked a lot about the space that I work in wellbeing and mental health. I'm really excited to share with you today some practical tips on implementing that in your studio or your place of work. So my role developed quite organically off the back of lockdown. We were a small studio of 16 people. We went into lockdown and honestly, we were like fish out of water. Nobody knew how to work remotely. It was a really scary time, probably for most people here too. In that time, I found myself gravitating towards a much more emotionally supportive role. Found myself quite comfortable, really, giving tips on breathing exercises or have you stepped away from your desk today? And whilst I'm a studio welfare manager officially now, I am unofficially studio mum. Have been since day one, 6 years ago. I remain, and I'm very proud of that title. I love looking after people. Today, I just wanted to share with you some of the things that maybe I wish I'd known sort of 4 years ago when I started to kind of dive into this space. Just practical things you can put in place that are kind of universal across industries as well. It doesn't have to be just for the games industry. The main thing really throughout this presentation is that if you lead with good intentions and kindness, you're not really going to go wrong. So moving forward, first tip, it's not rocket science. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. You're not the first to talk about mental health and wellbeing. You certainly won't be the last. It's a great thing that we're talking. The conversation before talked about the generational shift in conversation towards being more open with our mental health. Certainly in putting an emphasis in our studio on the well-being and welfare of our employees, we're definitely seeing a shift in the types of conversation that are being had, certainly across Slack. People feeling more inclined to open up and be more authentic, present themselves as their authentic self. There's no place for imposter syndrome here. We're all doing our best. And I say that as someone who suffers greatly, even right now. But no, like I said before, if you lead with kindness, empathy, you're not going to go too far wrong from that. One of the first things I did when I stepped into the role was to implement an EAP or an employee assistance program, something that would kind of take the weight off of my shoulders in terms of I am one individual. I started the role supporting a team of approximately 40. Today we're coming up to 120 and there's still only me. So it's really important to recognize when you start out in a like nurturing role like this, that you're going to take a lot on your shoulders and you have to have something to lighten the load. An EAP will do that for you. It can just offer a tap on the shoulder to your employees and colleagues at the right time, maybe when they don't realize that they need it. The one thing that I would say is that it's an incredibly valuable addition to your company benefits, but before you dive straight in, you've really got to research the ease of access. We've had some company benefits before where mental health is supported, but it's actually quite convoluted and difficult to access it. You've got to go to your GP, you've got to get a letter, blah, blah, blah. Puts people off. So really thoroughly research the ease of access. We've adopted Spill, which is connected to Slack. It's a virtual therapy service. People can get 50-minute virtual therapy appointments within 24 hours. There's also a text feature facility. No, I don't work for them. I genuinely just think it's a really great service. If you want to talk to me more about that, please do. But yeah, like I said, one person can't do it all. Spill is like my friend. It helps me know that my team are supported even when I'm not available, for example. Become an expert on your company benefits. Going back to what I was saying, don't scrimp on your benefits. They're not a tick box exercise to say, yeah, we offer healthcare, we do this, we do that. If you are the person in charge of health and wellbeing in your workplace, or you're on HR in the company benefits, it really is valuable to know what you're offering inside out. That's not to say that you're going to be an expert from day one. Sometimes these things take time to learn and grow, but also it gives you an opportunity to continually reassess, is this still the right fit for my business? When your renewals come around, like dive into the detail, don't be afraid to push back, question what's being said to you by, say if you use an intermediary broker, somebody who's going to summarize your renewal and say, I think this is the best option for you. Don't be afraid to push back on that if you don't feel, because you've got to know your audience and who you're talking to make the best decisions for the company. Perhaps you're not a decision maker, but if you stay well informed, you can certainly influence the decisions that are made. You've got to keep people involved as well. So like what I was saying, over time, the wants and needs of the business might change. You're only going to know that by regular conversations with your team, regular Ask Me Anythings, regular surveys, and taking action off the back of that too. So keeping an eye on your company benefits, what you offer, is it relevant? Is it cost effective for the business? That's another thing as well. You know, you could be spending a fortune on Epic Healthcare, but is anyone actually using it? Just keep having those conversations. This is a big one for me, hold space. You can kind of take this in so many ways. I'm holding space right now in delivering this session. I'm also holding space for myself mentally with the nerves. I'm kind of in the background, I've got this internal monologue going, it's okay, it's okay. And I suppose any speaker today might actually get a bit of that too. One way that I hold space, and actually kind of where this, these two words put together came about for me, is that we are now hosting at Futurlab a midweek meditation call. The initiatives that I put out for Futurlab mainly focus on a remote landscape, because we are, I'd say, 85% remote, the rest are hybrid. So I offer, everything I offer is on an opt-in basis aimed at being completely accessible whether you're in or out the office. I'm holding space by putting in a Teams call, 5 minutes on a Wednesday. I'm not there today because I'm here right now. It is actually happening now. You dial into Teams, share a 5-minute meditation video on YouTube. It sounds simple, right? And I did get the old imposter syndrome of, well, anyone could watch a YouTube video anytime. But the fact and the reality is we don't. We don't. We tell ourselves we're going to, but then work happens and an email, and I've just got to do that thing. And when it's a thing that's in your diary and it pops up, and then you go, oh, actually, maybe I will join that. It's 5 minutes, 11:55. Every Wednesday, we all jump on, we share a video, and if I'm not there, someone will host it for me, but it's that holding space. And every week, the numbers are growing more and more. It started with 2 or 3 people. We're now 10, 11, sometimes 15 people. It's growing to the point where people start to look forward to it. I do always do a preview of the videos to check what I'm sharing before it goes out. So I get a double meditation on Wednesdays, if you like. But again, it's just that holding space, giving people permission to take 5 minutes out of their day to just be like, I'll pick different themes. Let's talk about anxiety. Let's talk about being successful. Let's talk about confidence. And paying attention to the Slack channels and the conversations that are going on sometimes will inform the meditation that I pick. Additionally, on a Monday, for example, we host a Monday morning stretch call, 12 o'clock on a Monday, 10-minute seated desk stretches. Yeah, you might feel a bit of a wally if you're in the office, but also you get that smug feeling of, well, my mobility is top notch. So it would be things like I could do it right here while I'm talking. Like it's a tilt to the head, it's a stretch. It's just paying attention to what you need, and it might inspire you. Do you know what? I think I might do that every day. That was really beneficial for me. And the chat that comes in on the Teams meetings afterwards, it gives me the warm and fuzzies. Thanks, Hayley. I really needed that. I didn't know how much I needed to stretch. God, it felt so good to get up from my desk. Things like that. So ultimately, there's power in a shared experience. There's countless research on it in, group meditations, like participating, feeling part of the bigger picture, part of something. Take time out of your day to put yourself first, and you as an individual will be so much more productive and just have a happier day. At Futurlab, we do genuinely believe happy people make great games. People aren't always happy. We understand that. So my job is to input brilliant mental health and wellbeing support tools that people can access. There's no one size fits all, and that leads me on. Sometimes you're going to do something and you'll take a new initiative and it'll completely tank. It will be like, hay bales rolling across. And this has happened to me multiple times. And yeah, it's embarrassing and it's icky, but my CEO always says to me, you just got to keep throwing mud at the wall. Eventually something will stick. And I kind of live by that. Like, no, I'm not going to please everyone. Sometimes I even get a bit of feedback that's like, that really didn't work for me. I didn't like that. And I'm like, that's cool. Talk to me. What will help? I have a forms attached to a pinned channel in Slack all the time where I invite people to give me suggestions. What's going to work for you? What would you like to see more of? What would you like to see less of? It's a constant open communication. On a Friday, for example, I open up my diary. I try not to have meetings on a Friday, and I let everybody know I'm here. If you need to talk to me today about anything, do, even if it's a catch-up. I'm here. So, I've forgotten to do my card. I don't know what I'm talking about now. It's listening to feedback is actually what I was going on to. So again, I've said this before earlier, knowing your audience is really important. So you've got to have that two-way communication always. So yeah, no one size fits all, particularly in a landscape, as we were talking with multi-generation, different needs, diversities, everything. You've just got to try and keep everything in mind, but also within that, know that not everything will work, and that's okay. It leads quite nicely onto give yourself permission to try. Full disclosure, I'd originally worded that as, it's okay to fail, but I didn't feel like that was super positive. Like, instead, we should be giving ourselves permission to try. Like I've just said before, it's okay if something doesn't work. You can't please everyone all the time, but going right back to the start, lead with good intentions and kindness, you really can't go wrong. But also, you might want to take a little internal look every now and then, like keep yourself in check. Are you being good? Are your intentions kind? Just keep yourself in check as well. Do your research, watch your meditations ahead of time. Keep up with trends, pay attention to the Slack channels, what's happening, what are people talking about, what are the burning issues at the moment. I kind of see myself in my role as a bit of a social butterfly in the company, if you like. I'm across all the channels all the time, whereas there's a lot of people that will mute all the channels because they're a massive distraction in their role. So there's also something to be said in not only giving yourself permission to try, but to kind of filter into lots of different access points. Is it Slack? Is it email? Is it Teams? Is it doing a huddle? Is it face-to-face? Like, you've got to kind of be flexible to lots of different avenues. Also, the face-to-face events. Part of my role at Futurlab is to organise our social and training events as well. So again, that comes back to, let's see if this works. We recently hosted a festival, Future Fest, which I'll be honest, I was terrified about. It took some persuasion of the upper management, but I believed in my idea. I believed through years of research, years of talking to people, years of undercover questioning, like probing, what would be your ideal summer event? I held space for everybody in this event, and it was really, really great. You just got to not be afraid to just keep going, because like the CEO says, something will stick. Create a strategy. This, you might have seen my little capybara on the slides here, Basil. I don't know if you noticed that at the beginning. Basil is my wellbeing mascot. I created him actually as part of the marketing internal that we did for Future Fest. We found out that the farm that we were staying on had capybaras, so he became our mascot. When I was thinking about a strategy to shake up what I'm doing in my role, I thought, why not have a mascot? Somebody who's kind of not me, because everybody's sick of me, always in the wellbeing channel going, hey, have you meditated? Let's have someone else take this on and support me. And he's cute. I introduced him to the team by having a competition of, the person that names this, I'll send you a little surprise in the post. And it was like an individual present to the person that won it based on what I knew about them. Mental health and wellbeing as a topic is so vast. There are so many ways and avenues and, things you could do, things you shouldn't do, couldn't do, wouldn't do, whatever. But again, it comes back to knowing your audience, keeping them involved, staying open-minded. The strategy that I created was based on evidence that I found on Google. So again, these are readily available. I just turned it into a pretty graphic. My research led me to the 8 dimensions of wellbeing. As someone who's got a really wildly creative brain that goes off on tangents, I really needed something to pull me in, because I really was trying to reinvent the wheel for a really long time. I was trying to hit every single marker. Am I being inclusive enough? Is everything I do in hitting all the diversity spots? What about neurodivergent? I'm now sort of going, right, mental health and well-being, that's my lane. I'm really good at that. I'm going to focus on that niche. I know that within our company, we've got advocates for everything that there needs to be, and I'm going to communicate and work with them to make sure we're hitting all spots. So, I mean, feel free to screenshot this, but I'm sure they'll get sent around later, although I don't know that my slides prior will be particularly useful when they're just a sentence, but we'll see. One thing that's really important is to find someone to offload to. I need a someone. I can't shoulder all of this and not do anything for myself. Like, there are times when I suffer huge overwhelm, huge imposter syndrome, massive bouts of anxiety. You need a cheerleader, someone who's going to constantly remind you, you've got this. Mine is up there. You need like an enabler, someone who's going to be like, you're on the right path. You're leading with kindness and good intentions, just to pull you back. I also use Spill, the virtual therapy service. I use it monthly for accountability. Sometimes I don't even need so much to talk about. I just jump on and I'm like, hey, I need to talk. And they pull out of me whatever it is I needed to talk about. I'm going to share on the next slide the kind of description of these. I'll leave it up there, but I'm certainly not going to talk through this because I don't have my glasses on and I can't read it. But also, you might just want to take a look. Again, I didn't make this up. I found it on Google, but it resonated. So if you're thinking of creating a strategy in your workplace, you're going to find what resonates for your workplace too. Equally, feel free. I mean, this is all about sharing the love, sharing mental health, sharing our dedication to, improving our culture and our workforce. I can hands down say, since I've been doing this, our company culture, whilst we've grown extensively during this time, it feels like our culture has gotten a depth to it as we've been along. Things don't happen to us, they happen with us at Futurlab. Like, we're all informed, everybody's, I hope, feeling safe, content, secure, because the industry has been wild the last year or so, I think you'll agree. Where am I at? Oh, look at that, 1 minute left. So, this is my LinkedIn. One of my development plan this year is to get a bit better at LinkedIn. So there you go, there's my first step, tick in the box. I learned how to do a QR code. So it's a bye from Basil, but it's also a bye for me for now. If you are sticking around, I will be doing a breakout session in room 2 later called It's Cool to Be Kind. I put it on the t-shirt. That's just going to be stories of great mental health and well-being practice in the workplace, something that we can have a shared experience of. Hey, this is what my studio does and it's great. It's designed to inspire, to give you some new ideas. There will definitely be opportunity for questions. In my 10 seconds, I don't know if I should ask if there's any questions or not. No, we're not doing questions. Don't ask. But thank you, everybody, for your time today.